We begin with the nuts and bolts from the construction project that has become the BYU football season. The Cougars are now 2-5 with 5 games to play. They need 4 more wins to become bowl eligible. The 5 teams that have beaten BYU have a combined record of 24-8. The next 4 teams on the schedule are a combined 5-22, with unbeaten Utah looming at the end of the season. It's quite possible, despite the struggles on offense, BYU can go into the Utah game already bowl eligible with enough momentum to upset the Utes. But first things first, they must first get over what happened at TCU, and they must beat Wyoming on Saturday. True Blue's Robbie Bullough reports.
Fresh off of a win, snapping a 4-game losing streak, the BYU Cougars strolled into Fort Worth, Texas on Saturday, facing their toughest test of the season against the undefeated and 4th-ranked TCU Hornfogs. TCU entered the game with a top 10 scoring offense, averaging over 40 points a game, but BYU forced the Hornfrogs to punt on each of their first 2 drives. TCU finally got on the board with 2:19 left in the first quarter on a 20-yard Ross Evans field goal. As limited as TCU's offense was, it was better than BYU's. The Cougars didn't record a first down until their 4th drive of the game early in the second quarter and had just 13 yards of total offense in the entire first half. The Hornfrogs had a short field late in the half and took advantage of it on a 1st and 10 from the BYU 35-yard line.
BYU comes the blitz, they pick it up, Boyce is alone, touchdown!
The Cougars tried to generate some offense before halftime, but Tank Carter picked off Jake Heaps, and TCU again had a short field. The Hornfrogs blew the game open just 3 plays later.
Dalton on the pump fake over the middle, hello, wide open, Jimmy Young, touchdown!
BYU held TCU to just 3 points over the first 28.5 minutes, but surrendered 14 points in the final 90 seconds of the half.
I'd like to see it be a great football game, as it was for all but a minute and a half of the first half.
The Cougar offense didn't fare any better in the second half, turning it over on each of its first 2 possessions.
Shuffles his feet, sails one, that is intercepted.
Brian Correa led BYU into TCU territory for the first time all day with 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter, and Mitch Payne hit a 27-yard field goal to halt the Hornfrogs' shutout streak, which had reached 174 minutes over the span of 4 games. TCU punted on its first 3 possessions of the second half, but came alive in the 4th quarter.
Dalton fires on target. Boyce dancing towards the end zone. Touchdown!
The Hornfrogs reached the end zone on their next 2 possessions and continued to thwart the BYU offense, which failed to reach a first down on 8 of its 13 possessions. With the 31-3 win, TCU has now won 3 straight over the Cougars by a combined score of 101-17. Robbie Bullough, True Blue.
Robbie Bullough is in our True Blue studios, and you know what? The defense is getting better.
They are getting better. Bronco Mendenhall, the 2 weeks he's worked with them, has done really well. The 31 points, I think this is the first game this year where I think the game was closer than the score indicated. BYU's defense played better than the 31 points they gave up.
You know, from sitting in the crowd at LaVell Edwards Stadium and watching the game on TV the other day, what it seems to me that the Cougar fans want to see out of their young quarterback, Jake Heaps, is just a little indication that he's getting it. You know, he's not a freshman anymore. We're 7-8 games into the season now, and they're looking for some hope that it's going to get better. And it seems to me that the Wyoming game on Saturday has to be that game where that switch goes on.
Cougar fans want to see a touchdown. They haven't seen that yet. The only touchdown Jake Heaps threw was at Florida State. It's been over 270 minutes since he threw a touchdown pass. That's what Cougar fans want. And his 14 completions on Saturday, 91 yards, not even 7 yards of reception. So he's got to be able to open up and go downfield and not just the dump outs to DeLuigi or Correa. You know, he just seems to get kind of rattled. You know, he's been sacked a few times, and so he's probably thinking, I need to get rid of the ball quickly. He's got to be able to look downfield. One of the reasons he was a top recruit, one of the reasons BYU wanted him so bad, one of the reasons fans were so hyped about Jake Heaps was his arm and the power that he had, able to throw it downfield, which he's been able to show that. He just needs to make good decisions, throw into, you know, open guys, not throw the interceptions like we saw against TCU, but open it up, go down the field.
We'll look for the light to go on Saturday against Wyoming. The Cougars have 4 opponents coming now that are playing worse than they are. And if you're looking for a pick-me-up, this is the time of year where you can go and you can go to a bowl game. It's all right in front of them. It starts Saturday.
Yeah, and Wyoming, a team that BYU has scored 103 unanswered points against, and for an offense that's struggling, one of the worst in the country, they're better in this game. Wyoming's even worse than BYU is offensively, so this is a chance for BYU really to open things up, kind of shine, and each of these 4 games here are going to be must-wins. You lose any of these 4 games, Salt Lake becomes a must-win game just to be bowl eligible. So from here on out, must-win games for BYU.
So we pretty much have a playoff.
Absolutely.
All right, on Saturday. Robbie, thanks.